What's your case for making the Lord of the Rings spiritual reading? Can you put it in that category? And what are some examples for you?
Well, I think one way to approach that is to ask the question, what kind of people like the Lord of the Rings? What kind of people really get excited about it and speak the way this sister, for example, speaks about it? And what you'll find is not uniquely, but very often they are Catholics and Christians. And if you ask them why, they may have to think a little bit. Sister's very articulate there in the way she describes it.
Mm-hmm.
But what they are sensing without probably putting it explicitly into words, that this harmonizes with my understanding of the world. So there's nothing explicitly Christian there. There's no incarnation, church, sacraments, and so forth in there. But a Christian is profoundly at home in it for the reason that you said, that that's Tolkien's worldview. And at first unconsciously, but then very consciously, he wanted this to be reflective of that worldview. So that's the first thing I would say, is that Christians feel at home here, that this is bolstering. It's bolstering their worldview.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the best way to answer the question more directly, rather than abstractly, is just by an example. And I'll just give one. I'd love to give a lot more, but I'd talk forever. Yes, I think both of us are facing that here. But I'll just give one that's often enough quoted, and that's when Sam sees the star in Mordor.
Oh, yeah.
So they have made the painful crossing of the mountains into the outer edge of Mordor. And of course, Frodo's captured, and Sam's, freeing of him, and all the torments that they're going through there, lack of food and water, and exhaustion, and being hunted, and so forth. And finally, one night comes when they're still there on the outer edges, when Frodo is so exhausted that he with the burden of the ring, that he simply sinks into a troubled but a full sleep. And Sam does his best to keep watch because there are enemies around. But finally, sleep is overtaking him as well. And, as you know in the story, Sauron has set these dark clouds to fill the atmosphere, and then with his fumes and so forth, so that there's been darkness and dark cover cloud as all of this has been happening. And then Sam looks up, and the wind is changing, and there's a break in the cloud cover, and through. This is always moving for me, and it can move you to tears here. When Sam sees a single star shining far up in the sky, and he says, "It's not all going the enemy's way." And then he sinks back into a deep and profound and refreshing sleep. And that's just one of these moments when, we can look at our world and say the clouds are pretty dark, and they're getting darker, and who knows where the future is going to go. We can feel very much. And then just to have with such beauty, Tolkien say to you, no, there is a light and a goodness and a beauty far beyond what the enemy can ever touch. And there's even more in it, because then you get Elbereth and the star and all those things, that are at work in all of this. So there's like the light in the phial of light that Galadriel gives to Frodo and Sam, and becomes so crucial as they cross the mountains. And Sam realizes that it's going back to Elbereth, and all of these deep associations that are there.
Friends, a quick commercial. I hope you're enjoying this conversation about the Lord of the Rings with Father Gallagher. Just so you know, this July 16th to the 25th, we are going to England. We are going to visit the places and spaces that Tolkien himself walked and taught in and lived in, not to mention C.S. Lewis and G.K. Chesterton. We will be going to London, to Stonehenge, to Oxford, to the kilns where C.S. Lewis and his brother Warren lived and where Narnia was written. We will visit Oxford University, as I mentioned. We'll spend time also prayerfully at the graves of Tolkien and his wonderful wife, Edith. We will explore the home of G.K. Chesterton. We will walk the Cotswolds, this beautiful sort of medieval English village. We're going to have a wonderful time reading the stories of Lewis and Tolkien and Chesterton. enjoying pubs and places of prayer. And if you want to learn more about this great trip coming up, go to tobpilgrimages.com.
So I could go on with many of those, but you can't read The Lord of the Rings without being uplifted and feeling a sense of hope. Sam, after that, when he wakes up, what's happened in the world? Is every sad thing going to come untrue? And yeah. So when I have given talks on the Lord of the Rings, one of the themes that I love to explore is different experiences of joy in the Lord of the Rings, and there are many others, and they're beautiful. Joy in the delight in trees, for example, or the golden sunlight through leaves, but for me is also one of the most moving moments in the whole Lord of the Rings is the parting at Lothlorien when Gimli is with Legolas in the boat and tears are falling. Legolas, why did I come on this journey? If I was afraid of danger in the dark. If I had known the wound of joy and light, I would have never come. I mean, it's something that all of us recognize when you've deeply loved a person, and then maybe that person is taken from us. They pass away, or life requires us to move. And anyway, I'll stop there. But how can you not be uplifted by it?
That's exactly. Gosh.